People say we spun spiders' webs together across the valley, but that's not true. It may look like it, but it's not.
We're
the flying men of Yungas. On our ropes, we're like birds, and we go faster than astronauts. The Yungas region in Bolivia, jungle and steep cliffs, where people don't walk, they fly. These birdmen are known as cocaleros, coca harvesters. They use ropes to swing across the narrow valleys, suspended from ancient rusting pulleys. Just 30 seconds from one side to the other. By foot, it would have taken more than an hour. Oh, this must be about 6 or 7 years old. Before that, there was nothing. Nothing. We had to walk down to the bottom, cross the river, and then climb up the other side. It used to be quite a hike.
Ahí.
We'll get home much more quickly this way. This is not a horizontal country. The Yungas valleys are like a sudden staircase between the towering Cordilleras of the Andes, more than 4,000 meters high, and the green Amazon Basin. Here in the dramatic vertical landscape, the inhabitants have fashioned this unusual way to move around more quickly. Simple thin metal wires, normally used for fencing, stretching as far across as 400 meters. It's almost a form of public transport. There are about 20 of these cables strung across the valley. All day long, people and goods fly across the river 200 meters below. At each end, homemade tethers that in theory provide stability and safety. Some of the wires have been in use for 20 years and have slackened dramatically. The cocaleros have never bothered replacing them. Oh, it doesn't break. It'll never break. It's made of galvanized steel. And besides, we've put 4 of them across here. To prevent the pulleys from becoming unfastened, the cocaleros use string at each end as a kind of peg. It's a safety measure, so the nut doesn't get loose from the bolt. The string helps keep it in place, otherwise it might all collapse. To hang on to the pulley, the cocaleros simply attach themselves with bits of fabric and cloth.
Así se hay que amarrar. Sí.
This is how we do it.
¿Y eso es suficiente
Is that enough
para
to
no
keep
caer?
you from falling off?
Suficiente es esto.
Enough?
Suficiente es.
Oh, of course it is.
Suficiente es para... Hay dos todavía. Aquí tengo todavía.
It's enough for 2 people even. Even 3.
Esta tengo todavía. 3. 3 es ya. ¿Algo vas a amarrar ya?
Si es que se pasa es para frenar. Para
We use the
quedarse,
branches
para
and
no
leaves
chocar
as
al
a kind of
frente.
brake
Frena.
to stop ourselves so we don't crash into the other side.
No,
They don't blister
no
your
se
hands? No, not at all.
Voy a ir ahora al frente
Voy a
ya.
volar.
Okay, I'm off now to the other side. I'm going to be flying like a plane.
Ya.
Ya, dale.
Ya.
Even at age 72, Don Ignacio continues to fly across the valley every day to tend to his coca plantation on the other side of the mountain.
Buenas.
Since the price of coffee collapsed, coca has taken over as the main crop for the Yungas. It's been cultivated since the time of the Incas, a form of narcotic chewed by the locals to overcome tiredness. It's harvested 3 times a year and is worth approximately 30% more than coffee nowadays. Don Ignacio was one of the first to settle in the valley, and it was his idea to install the cable skyway.
1955 he vivido yo.
I first came here in 1955.
Esta comunidad todo.
I was the one who founded the community, and everything that you see here. There was nothing before. There was nothing to get across. We used to carry everything on our backs, just like pack animals. That's when I thought about having the system of pulleys and cables. I bought steel wires, and I managed to stretch them across the valley using some rope. Don Ignacio can neither read nor write, and testing his wire cables was a hit-and-miss affair. Everything was guesswork. Well, no one wanted to go on them at the beginning. No one trusted it. So the first time we tried it out with a sack full of stones. If it made it across, then we knew we could too. Don Ignacio's invention brought about a dramatic change in the lives of the cocaleros, who are now able to easily send heavy loads across the valley. Even today, though, there are those who don't trust the flimsy wires that crisscross the valley. Maria's husband was killed in an accident on the wires, and she now refuses to use them. Well, there'd already been an accident. My husband was killed here. He fell off and fell to his death into the river. He lost his balance somehow.
¿Cómo pasó?
Well, he just fell off. He fell out of his harness and fell. I'm not really sure what happened, but he was on his own when he fell. 3 people have fallen to their deaths in the past 20 years, mostly as a result of negligence. Like Maria, most of the women prefer to cross on foot.
The
bridge is for the women. We're too scared to cross on the cables, so most of the women cross here. It's quite nice because we often stop to bathe in the river. You see, look how far my husband fell. All the way from up there down to the river. His body was shattered, his guts were splattered everywhere. It was horrible. I'm really tired though, because it is a steep climb. And my feet hurt from walking so much. Despite the physical exertion, Maria still prefers walking to taking the sky cables.
Buen día.
Buenos días. ¿Cómo está?
Buen día, ¿cómo está?
Ya debe ser media hora.
It must be half an hour that we've been here.
Sin esfuerzo. No.
Sí,
We
después.
got over without any effort.
Tranquilo.
It was easy.
Nosotros pasar de allá.
Normal.
Porque esa es nuestra tradición aquí. Siempre voleamos.
It's part of our way of life now. We always use some coca before we start working.
No da hambre.
It also stops us getting hungry and allows us to work like dogs.
Nos caemos del árbol, no nos lastimamos.
We could fall off a tree and not feel anything. In the valley, the work days are long and arduous. The hardest is the harvesting of mandarins, which grow in abundance. But they have to be picked within 2 days of ripening, otherwise they rot. Maria and her new partner, Alex, can obviously only sell the fresh mandarins in market, so timing is crucial.
Tenemos que apurarnos. En ese apuro puede haber una
It's always a
falla ahí
rush,
al suelo.
and that's when you might have an accident from having to hurry so much. You might get careless and fall. That's why the cables aren't as reliable as they say. It's like Russian roulette.
De volverme a quedar así sola.
I don't want to be widowed twice over.
Y me da mucho miedo volver a
It's
ser mi vida
scary
así
starting
con él.
with someone like him.
Entonces prefiero tener otro enamorado
I'd rather have met
de
someone
otro
from a different
lado,
part of the country,
o si no, llevármelo
or move
a
out
otro
and live
lado,
elsewhere,
no, así
where it's
pase
less
mucho
dangerous.
peligro.
In the valley, danger is never far away. When the baskets full of mandarins don't quite reach their destination, for example. Oh, damn it. They're swinging back the other way now. The only choice is to go and fetch them, a high-risk operation. The baskets weigh as much as 50 kilos. Alex is barely fastened properly to the pulley. At 200 meters, any mistake could be fatal. You should film this. Bugger it.
Ya me iba a salir. Lo que ha accidentado, ¿no ve? Así ha sido.
This is how accidents occur. The harness can slip and you just fall backwards, all the way into nothing.
Esto se baja abajo. Puta, ya. Nos caemos allá abajo. Ahorita lo mismo iba a pasar. O sea,
It almost happened to me once. I was in a hurry and I wasn't fastened properly, just for a basket of fruit.
canasta.
A 1-hour walk away on the other side of the mountain, Severo has just returned from picking coca. The leaves are put out to dry. 1 month's work of harvesting.
Si no seca, o sea, se vuelve negro.
If they're not dried out, then they could turn black, and black leaves aren't worth as much as the green ones.
Esto pa' qué pongo.
I put them on the ground when there's no sun.
Dice lo atrae.
They say the mirror attracts the sun.
El espejo.
The sun sees the mirror and it pops out. And that's why I put mirrors here. Life for the cocaleros, such as Severo, has become a little easier since the election of Evo Morales in the presidential elections of 2005. Evo was the first native Indian head of state in South America and an outspoken advocate of the coca farmers. Under his rule, the laws that previously imposed some restrictions on coca growing were relaxed. Ever since Evo has been in office, things have changed. Before, there were embargoes and other serious restrictions. The other governments had said they wanted to stop coca altogether. No one listened to our side of the story. They said coca is used to make cocaine. But it's not true. Coca is not cocaine. You need to add a lot of chemicals to make cocaine from coca leaves. Severo says he's never seen cocaine. As far as he's concerned, his coca is a powerful therapy against fatigue, pain, and altitude sickness. But because of the fight against drugs, he also has to travel to the officially sanctioned market in La Paz, in Bolivia's capital.
It's mi cuarto.
This is my room. This is where I sleep. And I keep all my clothes here. And my coca leaves.
Todo lo que ves, tengo mis ropas, tengo mi coquita, lo que he cosechado. Y así yo vivo.
This is how I live.
2 de eso me llevo, entonces ya me vendo para víveres, para comprar
I'll sell 2
víveres,
bundles of coca
para
in the
sostener
city,
mi hogar.
and then with the money,
Entonces,
I'll buy some supplies.
Para dejar también algo de dinero para mi esposa, porque
And
allá está mi
whatever's left,
esposa
I'll give to my
en La Paz,
wife.
¿no? Con los hijos. Entonces aquí
She
no
lives
se
in La
puede
Paz with the
vivir
girls.
también
They can't live out here.
juntos, ¿no? Con la familia. Se puede vivir, pero el problema es la escuela. Es lejos.
The problem is the school, because the nearest
como es aquí
school is
también
over the
monte,
mountains on the other side.
Las guaguas tienen
And the
miedo,
kids are
hay
scared of
las
snakes
víboras,
and things like
en el
that.
camino lo pueden asustar, entonces.
Severo has finished harvesting his coca. He'll soon be heading off to market in La Paz and get a chance to see his family again. In the past month, he's amassed 50 kilos of coca leaves, which he needs to get to the other side of the valley, to the nearest road.
¿Será ya?
Severo's also bringing a large basket of mandarins for his wife and daughters.
¿Está bien, no ve?
Sí.
Ya, chao, iré.
¿Por qué gritas en el aire? Porque
Why did you yell out like that?
Alegría.
Alegría.
Just out of happiness.
¿Alegría de qué?
Happiness about
Alegría
what?
de pasar, pues,
Well, about flying like a bird across the valley.
al vuelo.
¿De volar?
Claro. De volar como un pájaro. Como un pájaro loco.
After the thrill of the crossing, it takes Severo a back-breaking 10 minutes to drag each of his 3 25-kilo packs up the mountain to the roadside.
Ay.
I'm wiped out.
Chuma este camino.
This is killing me. The next morning, Severo will take the first bus heading to La Paz.
Ay, manita.
The road that snakes its way through the Valley of Cables is the main artery that links the mountain ranges with the plains 4,000 meters below. Hard to believe, but this narrow dirt road is as busy as any modern highway. On the way down are manufactured goods from La Paz. On the way up, rice, fruit, and cattle from the fertile Amazonian pastures. Two-way traffic causes vehicles to teeter on the edges of precipices. Crosses in memory of victims of accidents are everywhere. The Bolivians call this road El Camino de la Muerte, the road of death. The road starts 4,000 meters up in La Paz, the economic capital of Bolivia. Marco, aged 23, is a vachero, a trucker specialized in the transport of cattle. His job is to drive down the road of death as far as Amazonia and load up cattle.
Preparándonos ya para viajar.
We're getting ready for the trip.
Es un camión que viene de Europa.
The truck comes from Europe.
Casi llegan estos camiones.
Like all the others, it's second-hand, but it's been patched up, ready to take on the worst the roads can throw at it. With 600,000 kilometers already on the clock, it's the first time Marco is taking it out. His own truck has long since driven more than 1 million kilometers.
¿Y nunca se muere el camión?
These trucks never die? No, because we constantly repair them. Everything gets fixed up in Bolivia. Marco is always accompanied on his trips by his cousin, Wilson. Traveling alone is far too dangerous on the road of death.
O sea, este trabajo genera más dinero.
Well, the job pays well.
que otros trabajos y si yo
If
no
I
tengo
didn't
la
earn what I
cantidad
do,
que gano
then I
normalmente
won't be able
ahora,
to send my
no voy a
kids to
poder hacer
college in
estudiar
the
a mis hijos
future.
en un buen colegio, como el que está ahora tengo mi hija también que
I
tiene
have
que
small kids.
vestirse,
They need
tienen
clothes,
usan
milk,
leche,
the usual stuff.
todas esas cosas.
That's why I keep doing this dangerous
Es por
job.
eso que lo hago, ese trabajo arriesgado.
Marco never leaves without first kissing his children goodbye.
Siempre lo hago así, es que
I always do this,
para tenerlos también, ¿no? Aquí en
to
todo el
have them
día.
here during the journey.
Hola,
Hello,
¿te portas bien?
been good?
¿Seguro?
Sí.
You sure?
Ya, te vas a portar bien. Ya
Listen,
cuando
you behave
llegue de
yourself,
viaje voy a
and
venir,
when
¿ya?
I get back, I'll
¿Qué
come and
quieres
see
que te
you.
traiga ahora?
What would you like me to bring back for you?
¿Qué hay en Zamor?
Well, what is there in San Borja?
Todas las frutas
All
vienen de
sorts
ahí,
of fruits.
Plátano.
pues. ¿Eso
Do
querés?
they have bananas?
Ya, te lo
Would
voy
you
a
like some?
traer, ¿ya?
I'll bring some, but only if you've been good, okay?
¿Ya?
Okay.
Ven. Eso es. Sí, ¿no ve?
Marco doesn't go inside, as he's going through a divorce with the kid's mother. His wife could no longer stand the strain of waiting for her husband to return safely from the road of death.
Chao. Estaba pidiendo al Señor para
I pray
que
to the Lord
retorne,
that
¿no?
I
del
may come
viaje.
back safe and sound from the journey.
Cada vez que tengo que conducir.
Every time I leave to drive, I always pray to the
tengo que
Lord.
pedirle al Señor.
A veces tú le hablas a tu
And
camión.
do you speak to your truck?
Siempre lo
Always.
¿Cómo lo llamas, pues?
What kind of things do you tell
lo
it?
digo,
I often say,
siempre yo al
how's
menos
it
le
going,
digo
kid?
chango, ¿no?
Or things like,
chango,
okay, kid,
tenemos que
we need to get there and come back,
ir
all
y
right?
retornar.
I do it all the time.
Y siempre hacemos eso. Cuando
Sometimes
además
when it has some
empieza a
problems,
fallar,
I
le
tell it,
digo,
why are you behaving
"¿Por
like
qué
this?
fallando?
I've
Si
given you everything you
no te
need,
hacemos falta
oil,
ni aceite,
petrol.
nada".
¿Y te entiende, crees?
Does it
Sí,
understand?
yo creo que me
I
entiende.
think it does, actually, yeah.
Ya, vamos a partir.
Okay, let's go. It's the start of a trip that will take 24 hours. Marco travels the road of death once or twice a week. A 900-kilometer round trip on one of the world's most dangerous highways. His wages of fear, 140 euros a month.
Y ahora pero voy a parar en la
I'm going to stop
cumbre
at the
porque
highest point on
voy
the
a
road to say a
hacer una
mass,
pequeña
to bring me
misa
luck.
para que me vaya bien.
La Cumbre, at an altitude of 4,700 meters, it's the highest point on the journey and marks the start of the road of death. Below the cross that overlooks the descent, yatiris, or Indian shaman priests, have gathered. For a few pennies, the truckers invoke their help to pay their respects to Pachamama, the goddess of the earth.
Coca no hace eso.
Did you bring any coca?
Coca y Wilson.
Wilson, where's the coca?
Coca.
Here it is.
Mira, a mi questo, ¿no?
What's your name?
Marco.
Marco.
Yo soy el Esteban, ¿no ve?
My name is
Caballero
Esteban.
Marco, este es Ova. ¿Ya?
Listen, Mr. Marco, we'll hold a ceremony for you. A little ceremony. Where are you headed? To San Borja.
Tíos,
San
tíos.
Borja?
Este tío,
Well, we'll call up the
todos.
spirits of
Este tío
nature
va a
and the
levantar.
devils.
Esto auto.
What kind of
¿qué?
truck do you have? It's a Volvo. Which model? An FL7.
L7. Todos los espirituales.
All the spirits are here. We call them achachilas in Indian. Aymara. There's also Pachamama and the Pachatata. We call on them to help us to make sure there is plenty, that there is health, and that his truck has no problems on the journey. Where are you going again? San Borja.
Para que no se fregue, es para los tíos, para las tías, ¿ya?
San Borja, we pray that your business does well, your truck, the Volvo FL7, number plate 956. Let everyone be blessed, the truck, the Volvo, everyone on board.
Serenta un señor de la cumbre, señor de Mayo. Así maro la chichilanaca. Allá es Pachamama. Sea buena hora.
An offering to Pachamama for the benefit of everyone. Good health. Before setting off again, Marco baptizes his truck with beer.
Ahora vamos a continuar el viaje, ¿no?
Now we can travel more at ease. We know now that the spirits will be protecting us from danger. Good luck, young Mark. Have a great trip. Always. May you be granted money and health. May the Lord of Cumbre bless you. From here, the road of death drops dramatically down towards the valley. The trucks hurtle down an uneven 3,000-meter descent in less than 50 kilometers to the Yungas Valley. At this point, the road is still surfaced. But the greatest danger is the constant fog caused by warm air from Amazonia meeting cold air from the Andes. It's always drizzling around here, but it's okay. Usually the fog is thicker, and you can't see more than 2 meters in front of you. That's why so many buses and trucks have fallen into the ravine. Most of the accidents here are caused by fog, especially at night time. But at least we can see where we're going today. 2,000 meters lower down, the fog begins to dissipate. But this is where the greatest danger begins. It'll soon get really narrow now. When I reach this point, I stop to pray, and I ask for the Lord for help. If I have to back up to let another vehicle through, for example, the problem here is the two-way traffic. This stretch of road is now unsurfaced, all the way to Amazonia. All traffic has to be on the left-hand side of the road now. You see, since the driver is sitting on the left, by the precipice, it's easier to see where you're going. You can put your head out of the window and see how close your tires are to the edge. If we were on the right, we wouldn't see anything if we had to reverse. And the trucks often do have to reverse, because this road is simply not wide enough. On the road of death, the rule is that the vehicle that's descending has to back up to the nearest wider stretch of road. The wheel's just centimeters from the edge. This is often when accidents happen. And if a truck or a bus is full of passengers, the cost in human lives can be terrible. Marco himself has had several close shaves. I remember the one time, one of my wheels was over the edge. When I got off to have a look, I panicked. I got back on and tried to get back on the road, but I couldn't. I was so scared. I was shaking from head to foot. I felt like never driving again. Marco, however, has become an expert, and today he knows all about the dangers he may come across.
Vas a mirar arriba piedra.
Here you have to look out for rock falls. At every turn lurks potential danger.
En ese lugar no hay caso frenar.
Here you must not brake,
El camión baja más despacio
which is why you
que
must
de
drive much more slowly than before. If you brake here, you'll go flying off because of all the mud. This truck was lucky. It skidded into the side and got stuck in the undergrowth. We have to get all the mud off here. There's no way to move it. And for the driver and his wife, the only thing to do was to dig it out. I've been trying to dig here for an hour. Will you do it? Can you manage? Yeah, I think so. But there's one stretch of road that's even narrower and more dangerous. An alternative route has been dug out of the mountainside, but until last year, more than 200 trucks a day had to negotiate this road from hell. The surface is less than 3 meters wide, and there's a 500-meter drop into the ravine. These days, only tourists on bicycles and thrill seekers use this stretch of highway. Crosses litter the side of the road, and the horror stories make up the trade-in stock of Eduardo, the tourist guide to the road of death. Over the past 50 years, about 1,200 people have been killed here, and last year was the worst. 180 people died in just 1 year. Even tourists are not safe. 8 cyclists have fallen to the bottom of the ravine, providing yet more stories for Eduardo.
Aquí sucedieron dos, murieron dos israelíes.
This is where 2 Israelis were killed. And a few years ago, a woman lost control of her bike and fell 120 meters there over the edge.
120 metros abajo. Y donde tú puedes ver
And
aquí
there,
la bandera.
you can see the Israeli flag.
Eso fue hace 2 meses
That's
atrás.
the accident I was telling you about. It happened 2 months ago.
And 2 years ago, you see there the other team is they follow down one truck. The truck have more or less 22 persons. All the trucks flying the same to the airplane is down.
Eduardo arrived on the scene just after the accident and took part in the rescue operation. How far did it fall? Oh, about 180 meters. The victims were in terrible condition, with legs and arms missing and bits of the truck through their bodies. It was awful. There were about 15 people here, all of them dead. Men, women, and children.
Niños, como puedes ver, mujeres, una señora que estaba con vida.
One woman was still alive. We took us 30 minutes to bring her back up to the road, but just as we were about to get there, she died.
A unos 2 metros de la carretera, la señora ya murió.
And that was the worst part of it for me.
Acá no puede entrar ni un helicóptero.
Helicopters can't reach here. It's a real problem. And it's why we can only save the people that are closer to the road after an accident. If you spent time searching through the ravine, you'd find the skeletons of many people that couldn't be saved. 400 kilometers further down, Marco has finally arrived in Amazonia. It's taken him 20 hours of non-stop driving, without any sleep. This is the Bolivian far west, plains as far as the eye can see. Millions of head of cattle scattered across a territory as large as Texas.
sin controlarte. En esta curva o en la otra está la muerte segura.
The song talks of the unlucky driver who drives recklessly and faces certain death.
Me siento ya feliz.
I'm happy, and I thank the Lord who has looked after me along the way. But on this road, you see, the risk is you might fall asleep behind the wheel. When you're coming down the mountainside with all the turns and bends, your adrenaline keeps you awake. But here the road is so straight, and you're so tired you can just nod off like that. San Borja, with 20,000 inhabitants, is little more than a large, dusty village, but it's the capital of Bolivia's cattle industry. This is where Marco and his assistant Wilson will wait for a dealer to give them cattle to transport. In San Borja, everyone knows Don Humberto. His trademark leather hat screwed to his head, he scours the ranches to select the cattle that he will resell in La Paz.
En el Beni son más grandes las riquezas.
Here in the state of Beni, there's a lot of money.
Grande.
Cattle rearing is a huge business.
Grande. Aquí hay en la zona de San Borja.
In the San Borja region, the rich own up to 50,000 head of cattle. Even the smallest rancher has at least 500. And then after that, it's 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. These cows will be transported all the way to La Paz, where they will be slaughtered. In a country where refrigerator trucks are rare, it's the best way to guarantee the quality of the meat. Don Humberto is choosy. He's interested in only the best. The small thin ones, like that black one over there, those are no good for me. They would never survive the trip. They'd die of fatigue. See, the big ones, however, they're much stronger. Don Humberto will pay 2,000 Bolivianos, about $250, to transport his cattle. But the journey is undertaken entirely at the truck driver's own risk. And it's Marco that's responsible for the cattle arriving safely in La Paz.
If
the cows get hurt on the way, or if one of them dies, I'm the one that will have to pay. Each cow is worth as much as 1,900 or 2,000 Bolivianos, which is what I get paid for the entire trip. The role of the assistant is crucial. Wilson has to take care of the cattle on the return journey. I have to make sure the animals don't fall over or step on each other. Otherwise they might die. Take these cows to Dona Valentina. Here's her cell phone number. Don't worry, I'll drive slowly. Are the cattle tired? No, they've had a good rest. But you better make sure they all arrive in good condition, okay? All right, Don Humberto, don't worry. There's not a minute to waste. To avoid any suffering to the animals, Marco will head back as fast as possible. If all goes well, they'll be in La Paz within 24 hours. There is only one way to keep going all the night.
¿Tiene coca?
Do you have any coca? Yep.
Dame 2 bolivianos.
Give me 2 Bolivianos worth.
Yo creo que no se puede aguantar en la noche.
Without coca, I don't think I could keep going through the night. It helps you stay awake and makes you less scared. Scared of what?
¿Miedo de qué, por ejemplo?
Miedo del camino, pues porque el camino
Scared of the
nunca
road,
siempre tiene
because there's so
cuentos
many stories about it.
diferentes. Por ejemplo, en esta subida que vamos a subir,
For example, they say that on this stretch, there's a woman who walks along the side of the
hay
road.
una cholita dice que anda, pero cerca al llegar
But when you
al
get
pueblo
closer,
siempre se
she always
desaparece así
disappears.
de lo nada.
For Marco and Wilson, it will be a long night. They will pause only briefly to get their breath back. In the Valley of the Cables, Severo is getting ready to leave for La Paz to sell his 50 kilos of coca leaves in the market. It's a 5-hour bus journey along the road of death. He's accompanied by Edwin, the son of old Ignacio, the man who invented the cable skyway.
Papi, sábado ya estoy aquí.
Dad, I'll be back Saturday, okay? Fearless on their cables, the flying men of Yungas are far less at ease when they have to go on the road of death.
Siempre nosotros tenemos que entrar con de arriba con Dios siempre
We
entramos.
trust in the grace of God when we travel.
Si no es una falla
There could be
geológica,
landslides.
puede ser derrumbes.
And we're just as scared coming back as we are going.
De entrar y salir así cada vez. Por
That's
eso
why
es
we
que
go so
vamos
rarely.
De tiempo en tiempo nomás, no entramos cada día.
But for Severo, the dangers of the road mean nothing. He hasn't seen his family in more than a month. I worry about them the whole time, of course. I wonder if they're okay and doing well.
Da pena, ¿no?
The Villa Fatima market in La Paz. It's the only place in the country where the cocaleros are allowed to sell their crop. Even so, it's estimated that as much as a third of all the coca leaves that are sold here end up in the laboratories of cocaine traffickers. In the market, the cholitas, the native Indian women, rule the roost. They are the ones who buy and sell the coca. We have to haggle with the buyers to get the best prices.
Nos conviene el precio.
A furtive glance here, an appraisal there. It's a discreet game between seller and buyer.
¿Cuál más tienes? ¿Cuál más tienes?
Do you have any other bags?
Dos no
Just these two.
¿Dos?
Sí. ¿Cuánto me paga ya?
How much did you give me last time? Because I want more this time. The woman decides not to buy, but Severo soon finds someone else.
Ya. Esta clip me deja. Ya lo estoy vendiendo, ya lo voy a vender.
I'm selling everything. But we'll need to get a good price.
¿A quién has vendido?
La señora.
Who are you dealing with? Well, this woman over here. For how much?
A 7.
700. 700 Bolivianos for each of the 25-kilo bags. Severo makes about $180 for 1 month's work. He lives in a poor district of La Paz, high up in the city.
Es mi casa.
This is my house.
Sí. Utani. Visita.
Hello, we've got company.
Hola, Erika. ¿Cómo estás? Beso, dale. ¿Estás bien? Hola. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Estás bien nomás? Besito. Beso, pues. Ella es mi esposa.
This is my wife, my eldest daughter, and the little one. This is where they live. My wife looks after the kids, sends them to school, does the washing, and cooks for them. Is it hard when your husband's not here?
No, tampoco. Difícil.
Oh, of course, because we have no news from him. When he doesn't arrive, I'm scared. I'd rather he walked than take the cables.
Es mi cuartito.
This is the room
Ella se cocina.
where my wife cooks.
Todo lo que ves. Es mi cuarto para
And this is
descansar.
my room.
Ella se queda aquí.
And this is where the three of them
Con
live.
mis hijas. Cansado estoy.
I'm exhausted.
Mis sueños para mis hijas.
I want my daughters to have a better life than I've
Bien
had,
también, ¿no? Que no
without
sea
the same hardships.
que no sea agricultor como
I don't
yo.
want them to be farmers.
Quiero que estudien.
I want them to study and find a job in the city as secretaries or in an office or whatever they like, so long as they have a choice when they grow up.
Cuando ya sean grandes. Cola encima es roja, ¿ves? Se ha lastimado. Sí, pues está pintado.
For Marco and Wilson and their 15 cows, the return journey is far from over. The hardest part still lies ahead, the steep climb up into the Andes. In the rear, the cattle are starting to feel the strain of the trip. But there's nowhere to stop. The road is far too narrow.
Ya, Wilson, el ganado.
Wilson,
mira.
go and take a look at the cows, will you?
Está bien. Oya, oya.
Oh, it's okay, they're fine. They're fine. But the cattle are exhausted, and Wilson has to stop them from lying down. It's okay, they're fine. They're all well. In just 4 hours, the truck will climb 3,000 meters. It's the final blow for the animals.
Ya están cansados.
Well, they're sort of wiped
Ya vamos a
out.
llegar.
But it won't be too long now.
Ya llegamos. La altura les afecta.
It's the altitude that's getting to
La
them, you see.
clima.
And the weather.
A ver. 1 hora y media más va a ser ya 24 horas.
Well, we'd have been on the road for 24 hours
Que
soon.
hemos partido. Un poco cansados. El único,
I'm really tired.
la única vitamina que
It's
te hace
the only way to keep going.
Bueno, cuando no se duerme bien,
When you
todo
don't
se
sleep
llega a
well,
envejecer incluso
that's when you really
más
age.
rápido.
They say a night
Siempre
without
me han
sleep
dicho,
means you
año
live
que
1 year
noche
less.
que no duermes, 1 año de vida que pierdes. Tengo 23 años, pero
I mean, look at me, I'm only 23, but I look older because of all the sleepless nights and trips that I've made behind the wheel. Eventually, the truck staggers across the peak of Cumbre, 4,700 meters up. La Paz is now very close.
hasta comprar una herramienta
I'll
propia.
carry on doing this until I've paid for my truck, and that way I can work for myself.
Así se empieza.
Most drivers start off like me and then end up owning their trucks.
Así es que también mi ilusión es
I want my own
tener un
truck,
camión,
so I'll
así
need to keep working like a dog.
tengo que esforzarme al máximo.
After 25 hours on the road, Marco completes his side of the deal.
despacio, dale, dale.
All 15 cattle have survived the journey, only to have been dropped off at the municipal slaughterhouse, where they'll be killed overnight. Marco and Wilson will rest and then head once more down to the plains for another consignment of cattle. Marco estimates that it will take him about 10 years to save the nearly $20,000 he'll need to buy his truck. After spending 2 days with his family, Severo leaves La Paz to return to the valley. Back with Ignacio and among the flying men of the Yungas and the coca fields on the road of death.